What is going on, everybody? We are back from the episode of the ABJ Podcast, episode 82 with Devantes. Guys, this is a good one for me. Been a big fan of this dude for quite some time. We'll learn more about him in a minute. But before we get into that, make sure you check the links below for all things ABJ, whether it be following me on social media, grabbing merchandise, joining the Discord, joining the Patreon, which both have perks when it comes to this podcast. I've been streaming a lot of these interviews live via the Discord. So if you remember the Discord, it's completely free to join, but you get to watch these as they happen and join the Discord community and chat along. We do have a thread in there that if you have a guest coming up that you want to see, you're going to see the guest before anyone else on social media via Discord. Also, you get to put your questions in for guests that are coming up. It's a great way to see the guests also in all their social media so you can support them. Also, the Patreon. If you are a member of the Patreon for as little as $1 or as much as you want to donate, you will get the episodes as they drop the Monday before they come live on a Thursday at 7. So there is ways to support the podcast and get early access to content as well. But guys, once again, huge thank you to our main sponsor, Suplex Vintage Wrestling. Guys, it has finally happened. A whole store fully dedicated to vintage wrestling. They say it can never be done, but I have seen it with my own eyes. Suplex Vintage Wrestling is a store curated by wrestling fans for wrestling fans. Located on 5th Street in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, just one block south of South Street in the heart of Queen Village. Their shop features the largest collection of vintage wrestling apparel under one roof. Their selection includes classic designs featuring your favorite wrestlers from the Golden Age, Attitude Era, Internationals, Indies, and more. And if you're tired of watching premium live events at home, SVW hosts the best watch party since your friend Kyle's birthday party since you were 12. And if shirts and watch parties aren't your thing, let's not forget their selection of figures, replica belts, trading cards, and from their t-shirts and hats to rare wrestling memorabilia, they have something for every wrestling enthusiast out there. So what are you waiting for? Check them out at suplex.svw on Instagram or at suplexsvw.com and let them satisfy your nostalgia needs. This store is absolutely insane. They're doing a lot of cool stuff. Make sure you follow them on Instagram. They're doing giveaways all the time. If you're looking for that old school shirt or you want to meet some wrestlers, they're doing some cool meet and greets. They have a lot of stuff coming up their sleeve right there in the heart of Philadelphia and Queens Village. The store is it's a wrestling haven. They also have a vintage trading card store. I think they're the only Panini dealer in the city. So if you're into trading cards, they have that as well. They have the craziest sneaker shop you'll ever see too. So they have a lot of cool businesses right there in Queens Village. Make sure you go support them and show them some love because they are the reason this podcast is still pumping. And I appreciate them more than they know. But without further ado, I want to bring my guest in, get this going. Let's get this rocking. Let's bring in Devantes. What's going on, bud?
What's up, man? What's going on, Anthony?
It has been a minute, my guy. We have not seen each other, have spoken in a minute. You have been tearing it up everywhere. Unfortunately, not working the same places as me, but I totally get it. You're too much of a beast to be contained to just one or two promotions. You got to be everywhere.
That's true, man. But yeah, I would love to, I want it all, man. I would love to be around you and all the promotions that you had, man, to get to chop it up with you, man. How long we've known each other now? What, 3 years?
About 3 years. I think the last time we seen each other was Avery Good's last match for LVAC at the brewery. That's the last time we seen each other. And I heckled you and I said that you're an Eagles fan. And you gave me the most evil eyes I've ever seen in my life. You were a heel that night, and I tried to break you, and it was that close. I was that close.
That's funny. I do remember that,
man. For those who don't know, we both share a love of our love and passion for the Washington Commanders as of now. I mean, next year comes and goes. We might be name something completely different. So who knows? We'll find out when we get there.
Absolutely.
How do you feel about the team now? We kind of talked a little bit off camera. Not a lot of faith, I see, right?
I have no faith, man, and I'm so sick of buying. Like I bought, obviously the old name. I had a whole bunch of their merchandise. Then I had a whole bunch of the Washington football team merchandise. Now I got a whole bunch of. I pulled it out right now, Washington Commanders stuff, and I'm just like, if we change this again, I'm not buying any more merch, man. I'm done.
Yeah, the name better be the coolest name ever if I'm going to go back out and reinvest. I usually get every year's draft cap. If they don't have a banger name, then I'm over it. there's rumors that they might go back to the original name, that people are saying it's okay to. And I'm like, I don't do it. Why put yourself in that situation again?
I wouldn't do it because it's only going to come up again, man. And it's like, I just wouldn't do it. I just come up with a better name.
Yeah. Remember when they were like, we're going to get rid of all names that have any connotation with Native American? And they're just like, we got rid of Washington. And what was the other one? Chicago. And they're like, all right, we're good. Everybody else, Chiefs, you're winning. People love you. We're going to let you go. You know, people show up in all the costumes you want game day. No one's going to protest. It's all good. It's all good. We got rid of the two we wanted.
I think they got rid of the Cleveland Indians name.
Yeah, Cleveland. All the shitty teams, the ones that were not doing successfully. Yeah, they got rid of us first. You know, Chicago Blackhawks. I think they're still a thing, right?
Yeah, that's because they win every year.
Yeah, they're dominating. Like the Chiefs and them are the Sentinels. They're all good. Everyone else is fine, but we got everybody. I don't want to go back to it. I want the Red Wolves. That's kind of where I'm leaning towards. I want Red Wolves.
A lot of people were like copywriting these names, so like Washington could get. I wanted them to go to like the Hogs. I'm like, go back to what you were known for.
That'd be cool. Yeah.
But we'll see.
The other one that was up there that I thought was cool was the Red Tails.
I thought that was amazing. That was amazing, man. But I also look at it like they invested so much money into this Commanders thing. I seriously don't think they're going to go 1 year with this name.
Supposedly the new owner and Magic Johnson came out and said that after this year, we are going with a new name and we are trying to move the team back to DC. So let's see what happens.
Cool with me.
Get rid of FedEx Field. Everything that reeks of Dan Snyder. Let's just cut ties with it.
Have you ever been to that stadium?
Yeah, I went when it was still kind of nice. Now it's terrible. Yeah, there's sewage pipes busting on people's heads and stuff.
Yeah, that was horrible. And I think they gave them because I seen that video. I think it was a couple years ago, and I'm like, only thing you do for them is like give them like club seats. I'm like, can you give somebody, if I got a sewage drain, just dump on me and my partner, you better give me some season tickets.
Yeah, so I better get season tickets. I better be down. I better be like on the field next game. You know what I mean? And then it was a night. Never mind. Then we did the Sean Taylor tribute, and they literally put it on like a clothes hanger mannequin. It wasn't, the gear didn't match at all. It was a nightmare.
I'm like, the greatest safety this team has ever had. This is how you do it.
Horrible. Well, that's enough of that depressing talk. Hopefully they'll turn it around. We'll see how it goes. But listen, Magic Johnson's part owner. You know what I mean? He's the face and spokesperson of our team. It's showtime, baby. You know what I mean? I like that. I'm a fan of that. So Devantes, let people know about you a little bit. Give them a little brief introduction of you.
Okay, so I'm a pro wrestler, born and raised Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I've been doing wrestling for about 5 years now. Things on up and up. I'm pretty booked up every weekend, man. I don't know what else you want to know.
Yeah. Well, here's one more question. Going back to your football team, how did you land on Washington if you're from the Philly? Because all your other teams are pretty much Philly teams except the football one, right?
Growing up, like when I got into football, it was like early 2000s, and like my favorite player was Santana Moss. I used to watch him when he played for the Jets.
Yeah.
And remember ESPN used to have a little box at the bottom at breaking news, like on ESPN, and it says Santana Moss traded for Lavernius Coles, and I'm like, okay, where's he going? To the Reds of that team.
Yeah.
And I just became and I'm also a huge Miami Hurricane fan, and all of these players just went to Washington. Clinton Portis, Rocky McIntosh, Leonard Hankerson. So I just started watching. I said Sean Taylor already, but yeah. So that's how I became a Washington fan.
Yeah, the killers from the U all went to that one team and just started dominating. Yeah, it was a good time. Santana Moss, the Cowboy Killer. That's what they called him because he always found a way to break loose at the end there and get that touchdown to seal the deal. Oh man, I miss that. I actually have a Moss jersey still in one of my totes somewhere.
Dude, I was in school for that game, man. I stayed up. I think it was a Monday night game or a Sunday night game. Can't remember. But that game, when he solidified himself as the Cowboy Killer.
Yeah, Mark Brunell, deep down the middle, across the middle. That was all great moments. And then Sean blocks the field goal against Dallas and then runs it back, 15-yard face mask. Oh man, I remember watching that game with Cowboy fans, and they lost their minds, and I'm just like, yeah. Good stuff. That is awesome. Yeah, so for me, the reason I landed there is because I'm right outside of Pottsville, Pennsylvania, and we had a team back in the day called the Pottsville Maroons. The Pottsville Maroons won the NFL World Championship in like I forget the year. I'm sorry, history buffs from our area, but they played an exhibition game in the middle of the season against Notre Dame during the Four Horsemen era. And then they went on to beat the Cardinals. I believe they were the Baltimore Cardinals at the time. And they found out about the exhibition game, stripped them of the championship, gave it to Arizona. The team went bankrupt, went from Pottsville to Boston and became the Boston Reds, left Boston and went to Washington, and then became what we now know as the Washington Commanders. But and then the training camp was right outside of Carlisle, Pennsylvania, so that was like not too far from us. And then like the Hershey Bears that all go to the Capitals, the Nationals get their the team from Harrisburg, and then like all these teams kind of farm from Pennsylvania to go play in DC. So that's kind of how I fell into all the DC teams, because they're like they kind of like all in this area.
Got you.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. Like at the little tiny town pot where actually Tony Deppin's brewery used to have a professional football team that end up becoming the team that I like now, or unfortunately, Yeah. But when did you fall in love with the world of professional wrestling?
So, I was that attitude era kid. Don't want to say my age, but that late 90s, early 2000s was when I fell in love. Stone Cold, Rock, DX. I watched a little bit of WCW, but that was when I say I fell in love with wrestling. I kind of fell out of love with wrestling, like during high school era because
it wasn't cool anymore.
Right. Well, that, and on top of that, you just find new interests. You get sports, girls, all of these things, man. So it's like, I kind of fell out of it, but I wound up getting back right into it, like around 2012.
Yeah. Yeah, you couldn't go to school and, mac on the ladies and be like, yo, did you see Stone Cold last night? They're like, yo, get away from me. You know what I mean? And then you enter the wrestling world and all these females are like, oh my God, I watched the Attitude Era. I'm like, where were you growing up? I would have had a friend.
I did my love affair with wrestling because I thought it wasn't cool.
Yeah. I stopped watching wrestling for the female species, and then here we are. Yeah, and they're everywhere. Yeah. So, who were some of the people that growing up that you attach yourself to, or some of your favorites?
So, I mean, it was The Rock. I was a big fan of The Rock. Austin. But being from Philly, like I was an ECW guy. Rob Van Dam, the New Jacks of the world, Sabu, so like those were like, I would say like my favorites at that point.
Yeah. When I first seen you wrestle, one of the people that I always like assimilate you a little bit to, because like your stature and your build, like you're like a young, like a Taz almost, like you're just like this little like cannonball that you're just kill people, you know what I mean, like just throwing people all over the place. First time I seen you wrestle was you were the inaugural match for Camp Leapfrog, and you wrestled, in my opinion, one of my favorite people in the independent wrestling scene and in this business, and one of the nicest human beings, Deshaun Pratt. You and Deshaun Pratt essentially kicked off that promotion, and it's still one of my favorite matches that has happened there, because it was you coming in as an upstart who not many people knew anything about, taking on this veteran of Deshaun, and you had a great showing.
Yeah, Deshaun was great, man. I still see Deshaun probably like once every other month. We on the same card with one another, man. But Deshaun was great to work with, man. Like I'd work him any day of the week.
Yeah, he's a gem. He's training. I had him on the podcast. He's doing stuff with CZW, pretty much telling young people, if you want to enter this business and you want to, even if you're in the business and you want to get better or need a place to call home, CZW Dojo is always open. Just hit him up. He said you don't even have to give him a dime. Just pay your dues and sweat,
Yeah,
And
I believe
Deshaun's one of those guys. If you're going to learn, has the guy to learn from.
he's a trainer there, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Nice.
Yeah. So, growing up, you said you were into sports and stuff. What all did you play? What all were some of your interests, and what type of kid were you growing up?
Played basketball. I wasn't the greatest at basketball, but my school didn't have a football team.
Oh
So
wow.
yeah, I know, right? These shoulders didn't play football. But yeah, basketball. But I was always, you know, kids, we were off. We not thinking about things. We would play tackle football with no pads on and all of that stuff. Uh, Interest, man, was I was always a sports guy. Always a sports guy. Um, Movie guy. Like I'm a movie buff, man. And type of kid I wasn't a bad kid at all. I think I was, obviously as kids we do have our moments where we get a little beside ourselves and we get corrected for
Yeah.
it.
Did
But
you
I
get
was
along with everybody, or did you fall into a certain, like, were you more of the jock crowd? Did you fall in with like everybody else? Like,
I got it. I mean, I've always been like more like humble. Like I was always with the people that were like, I guess you could say popular, but like I would always still talk to everybody else. Like I didn't,
yeah,
it was one of those things, man. But yeah, I wasn't a bad kid at all, man.
yeah.
Yeah,
Were you always big growing
yeah,
up, or
yeah. So my father's a bigger guy. My
it's
brother's a
great
big.
genetics?
Yeah, I just wish I had the height, but this is what happens when your dad's 6'1" and your mom's 5 foot. Where
Yeah, my best friend growing up, Tony. His name was Tony Little, and it was funny because it's like the workout guy with the white dude with the long ponytail with the gazelle thing. You can do. He has the same name as that dude, except he was also like 5'4", and he was built. He was just huge, just a monster for no reason. And he was so athletic for his size, but he didn't learn football until like his senior year of high school, and he was just so bored with it. He never really got into it, but he was just
yeah,
so athletically gifted. But the guy was just great genetics. He was shorter, but he was huge always, just a big monster.
yeah, yeah.
But so when did you transition? From school, was there college involved? Did you go, start working shoot jobs and then say, hey, pro wrestling is an opportunity? How did you find a way to enter the business, and what was that process like?
So for me, it was high school. I went to like a sister school of Penn State. Wasn't the main campus. I did that for a year and a half.
Which one did you go to?
Mount Alto. It's out in like
Oh, I've
Chamber.
never heard. I
Yeah,
thought you
it's
might have went to like Penn State Schuylkill or Penn State Hazleton.
nah. So it was like out there, dude. I'm talking about 4 hour drive out there. It was like Chambersburg, Pennsylvania, areas I've
Wow.
never heard of, like Pennsylvania, uh, you know, farmland and all that stuff. But it was a good experience. But I just knew like, yeah, this ain't for me. Um, I worked since junior year of high school. I had like a seasonal job because the school I went to was like an agricultural school. So I got a job like on this golf course doing ground on the grounds crew, and I just worked. Um, got a couple of truck driving jobs, which I do right now. But getting into wrestling, my brother lived right around the corner from the wrestling factory, and he had messaged me one day. It was like, hey, they got this free workshop around the corner. You want to try it? I was like, it's free, And I was 28, so I was like, man, I want to try something outside of the box before I turned 30, and I tried it, and I just got bit by the bug.
Yeah. Now you kind of had a cool moment in that school. Unfortunately, the things that went down there, it sucks, and the way it all went down. But one of the things I always take away from, I guess, the negative side is the talent that came out of that place.
Yeah,
We all know, the Chikara name, everything that came out of that, and some of the most talented people I've ever got a chance to work with, and some of the most coolest and humblest human beings I've ever met in my entire life have come from that system. Who were some of the people in the school with you when you joined in?
so when I was there, you had Pancakes and Abby. Abby was later, but Pancakes was there when I got there. Matt Mikowski was there. Uh, Matt Allen was there. Xavier was there. Uh, you had Logan I don't want to say it, I'm gonna spoil his character, but yeah, Logan LaRue was there.
Yeah. Is he still using that gimmick?
Yeah. So
Oh, okay.
so me and him actually we work at VCW a lot, and we work at Fight Pro a lot. So I see him like sometimes once a month, sometimes twice a month. Like I'm gonna see him.
Really?
Yeah, I see him all the time.
He's put a word in. He's someone that I'd love to have a chat with on here.
Yeah,
He's
guy,
someone, man, that is. You want to talk about a good look? You want to talk about in ring?
amazing.
That dude is a beast.
I get jealous of his abs.
Yeah, he's another, without giving too much away, but one of the first things I learned early in my years of working with Camp Leapfrog, I always thought growing up when a wrestler wore a mask, it's because they were hiding something. Every single wrestler that wore a mask that I've ever seen, like, what are you doing? You're all attractive people. But yeah, one of the first times I really got to see was he wrestled, and it was him versus another guy in a mask, and they wrestled 4 masks, and it was incredible. And that was like the first time I at a Camp Leapfrog show, I was like, this is a big deal. Like, what's going on here is special.
Yeah, absolutely, man. That was a hell of a match. I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. And then obviously some of the other names in there, most of those names you said are all startups for Camp Leapfrog. Mikowski, who is an absolute monster in this game as well.
I'm so happy to see that he's back, man. You know, I know he got hurt some point early last year, so to see him back, man, and I think he just did beyond last night.
Flipping armbar right off the bat, killing it.
He is so freaking talented. I wrestled with Mikowski a few times, man, and I tell you got to put your work in for him.
Injured Mikowski. I don't know if many people seen photos of injured Mikowski, but he let everything kind of grow out. His beard was rivaling yours.
Yes, it was, and I would tell don't cut the beard, man. But nah, he's just one of the most humble dudes, man. And like you can see, like he's like a genuinely good person. And you know, I just want the best for him, man. I've always bigged him up every chance that I got, man.
He was someone that I was saying at that point in time, I felt he was making such insane waves in the wrestling industry. I felt like he was right there, and that injury was like the worst possible time, because I felt like his momentum was hot. But him coming back now, more people need to talk about him. More people need to be sharing stuff about him and getting his name out there, because that kid is special.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he is, man. Yeah, I seen like you know, I'm friends with him on social media and things like that. So I see he always posting. You know, he's booked up on big shows, man. So you know, I hope he gets right back to where he is and bigger.
Yeah. So going through that training, what was that school like? And we just said a bunch of people you got to rub elbows with there. What was that school's environment like, and what was it like working with the people that were there?
So I mean, I always say this, regardless of what happened in Wrestle Factory prepared a lot of us for when we came out to these indies, worked people with different styles, man. Like I never felt more prepared. Like obviously when you first start, you go on to different shows, you're a little nervous and things like that. But where I'm at now, like that credit goes to the Wrestle Factory and the trainers and a lot of the people that helped me out. That was just that, you know, students that was there, man. So the environment was a cool environment, you know. At least what I seen, I didn't see anything, you know, negative while I was there. But they did a great job, and you know, like I say, you look at some of the people that came out of there, man. Some of the people that's in WWE that came out of there. So it was definitely a fun time while I was there.
Yeah, WWE and AEW.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah, some people came out of that school that are rocking championship titles right now.
Yes, they are. That was also my trainer.
Yeah. So, what are some matches early in your career that you credit to having that spark of like, oh my God, this is when the pieces came together and you were starting to find yourself as a wrestler or your character or who you were as a person in this business?
That's, I would say probably against Mikowski. It was early in my career, like say like a year and a half. We were both getting booked for Catalyst Wrestling out in New York, and me and like I was the heel and he was the face, and I don't know. Like I just think it just came together. Like me and him, we always like worked well together. And I don't know. Like I was when I first started, and one of the issues a lot of people have when they first start is they think they're going slow in the ring, so you try to speed it up and things. And one of the best advice I got is when you think you go slower in the ring.
Yeah.
And I just like took my time and made sure I'm not just focused on move. Hey, get the crowd involved. Be a heel. Let them know who you are. Set the tone as soon as you come out. Who's the heel? I'm not a nice guy. I'm not here to slap five with you. I'm not kissing babies. None of that. I'm here. I don't know. I don't know what words because I'm an ass. I'm a,
Yeah.
But that was probably like the moment where I was like, wow, like I watched that match back probably like 50 times after that.
Now, how did you develop the character and the persona and the name Devantes and did you like was heel always something you wanted to go for? Like, have you played babyface at all in your career yet?
Yes, I've played babyface a few times. It's always weird. So like I just played babyface over the weekend. It's always weird doing it. And but I will say that there's been times where I've had to switch heel to babyface in the match because I'm supposed to be this jerk, but people are like digging my look, and so they're cheering for me instead of cheering for the person they're supposed to be cheering. So, but I've always wanted to be a heel. Like I
Yeah.
love heel. I love because I'm a nice guy on a normal, so I get to
Yeah,
be.
yeah.
So like that was one of the things. So, but getting the persona, I was told that they wanted me to look like Balrog when I first.
Like
But
who?
Balrog from Street Fighter.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, they wanted like this mean guy or whatever. So, I would just work at it. I'm like, man, you know what? Let me just grow this, like, dye this patch of hair. I'm gonna grow my beard out. And I was going for Kimbo Slice. I'm be honest with you. You know who
Yeah.
Kimbo Slice is?
Yeah,
I was
absolutely.
I was going for him, man. And as the years went on, I just kept crafting the character. So it seems to be working. So it's cool.
I always got Kimbo and I always used to get Mr. T vibes.
I get that every day, and it's so
Yeah.
fun. People really think that they say it to me like it's the first time I heard it. You
Yeah.
look like Mr. T. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the mohawk was the biggest thing, and the beard, just your presence. Like you come off as like a scary dude. Like you're a big guy, but like and athletic, and like I said, you always play the heel role.
Mhm.
But also Mr. T when he has to turn the charm on, like I feel like you could be a good baby face because I think one of the things that um I think it happens a lot to, especially with wrestling, like people of color in the wrestling business, is the representation has not always been there. Like we're both fans since the Attitude Era, and the only time I've ever really seen like a black champion was The Rock. You know what I mean? Like growing up, and then not until much now you see Bianca Belair's and the New Day and representation of people of color in wrestling that aren't always bad guys. They could be good guys, and they could be the front runners of companies, and that's kind of new to the business. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I talked to, I won't say their names, but like, just going on around, these shows, I talked to like some people that were like, territory era and things like that. And I've had conversations with people and they've told me where it was like, if you're black, you're the heel. Your job is to
Yeah.
put this blonde hair, blue eye white man. That's your job every night.
Yep.
And just to see how far it's come and what WWE has done and AEW have done and just showing that love and now being more diverse with things, man, it's definitely appreciated.
Yeah, even people who were LGBTQ, like if you were an androgynous character, you were a bad guy. Like
Yep.
that's just how it was. And then now we have promotions that run right now that are all LGBT, all promotions that are all black talent, and it's just like to see that is so uplifting for this business, and it makes this is why I fall in love more with this industry every day. I know that sometimes it's hard because there is a lot of toxic and there's a lot of nonsense and there's a lot of bullshit in this business. But when you see stuff like that, where it's like the representations there, and you see a young fan be like, "That's something I can look up to because that reminds me of me. I can pull from that." Like, you know what I mean? That's a beautiful thing. I didn't experience it. I almost got emotional, honestly, live. I went to my first like sitting on the floor WWE show, and Bianca came out, and like there's this one section right by us, man, and it was like how I felt when Hogan and Macho Man hit the curtain, but it was for young people of color, and these little girls were like, it was like Flair back in the day for these girls seeing Bianca come out, and I was like, this is so important, right? Like those kids are going to be fans forever now, and it's strong women, and it's a strong black woman, and it's just like for those girls to see that at that age and see her come out with the title, and she's a good guy, and she's positive, and she's this beacon. It's like that's so important for that, because I just seen myself like at that age, like how important that is for people, and it's beautiful, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. So, any other matches growing, like, you know, in your career that stood out for you?
Like VCW, Virginia Championship Wrestling, man. To me, like I just, you get territory vibes when you go down there, because when you go down there, the whole town comes out. Like literally, the whole town comes out. We just did a show 4 weeks ago, and it was, they had like 450, 500 people in there.
Wow.
There, and I'm ill. I was in a battle. I was just in a battle royal, and it was me and Erica Lee in the end, and just that eruption from the crowd when Erica speared me on the apron to win the battle royal was just, it was dope.
Erica is a mega star.
Yeah, I love Erica.
Yeah, and my favorite part about her as a character is like she's so bubbly and funny, and the honk. I don't know if she's still doing like the super over top honk poo poo pee pee stuff. But also in a match, she'll beat the shit out of you. Like she's one of the hardest hitting females I've ever seen. Like she'll beat the shit out of you. She's no joke.
I like that, man. I like all that, man. I like when people were a little snug, man.
Yeah.
You know,
I think the 3 hardest hitting females I've ever seen live, and 2 of them wrestled each other. And it was Erica and Christina Marie. It was like a strong style New Japan match at 2 women in PPW, and it was amazing. And the other one another one who comes off super bubbly and super smile that's contagious. She'll suck you in with her smile. But I watched her break someone's face, Willow Nightingale. Like she actually the show at LVAC. Like she's bubbly, but when she puts the straps down, you're getting your ass kicked.
I wrestled Willow early, like maybe first 10 matches, man. It was great, dude. And I'll, see where she's at, man. It's amazing. Another match today has just dawned on me because you said PPW. Bro Keller.
Oh, bro's amazing. Yeah.
I wrestled Bro last year in Mifflinburg, Pennsylvania.
Okay. Yeah.
And that was like another place where like the whole town comes to help, man. But that was I like Bro. I wrestled Bro a few times now, man. Extremely talented.
Yeah. So who are some matches on the scene that you haven't had yet that you're like itching, like you're like, man, I wish I really, really want to work this person?
I would love to work O'Shea Edwards. O'Shea, I would like to work Calvin Tankman. O'Shea Edwards, Calvin Tankman. Those are the 2 right now that I'm like extremely interested in.
There's a name right now that's really doing big things on GCW, and he's doing a lot of the Speedball Mike Bailey stuff. I thought he was coming to the Sanctuary a couple nights ago, but unfortunately he wasn't able to make it. But Mookie, I think he's been killing it. You look him up, man. You guys would have a war. Just 2 buff dudes like just killing each other. It'd be a good one.
Yeah, I gotta look there. Definitely, man. I mean, I'm cool with it.
yeah, it'd be a good one. But that's man. Any other names that stick out?
In the independent scene, those are just the 2 that pop out, because those are I wanted to wrestle since day one.
One of the promotions that I thought you really found yourself in as well, where like I felt like they were taking you pretty seriously, and they were pushing you the right way, and you were developing yourself as a character. And unfortunately, the company then kind of got swallowed up by its big company. They're the Outbreak Quarantine series, man. You were a bright spot in that future and in that promotion. And it was fun to watch you work there. And then unfortunately, that as soon as I was on commentary, and I was like, I was like rubbing my head, just looking at the people in the booth. I'm like, why are they doing this? Where you gave up, you won the title, and then gave up your title for a number one contender spot, and I was just like, because the company essentially got swallowed up and it wasn't no longer to be a thing. But I felt that was that was a good moment for you in your career, to kind of get someone put the ball in your court and let you like be a leader of the locker room essentially.
Right. Yeah. I still don't know what technically happened. I know that you said this company bought Outbreak, and I was told I was going to come wrestle for that company by
Yeah.
somebody running it, and I just like never heard anything. So I was like,
It's
hey,
it's it's I'll tell you right now, man, as someone who's a fan of you as a person and as a worker, that is 100% their loss, because I'm telling you, anyone who brings you in, they're an idiot if they don't, because like I said, your presence and what you do in the ring, man, is special. Like, people your size shouldn't move the way you move sometimes. You just close distance so well, and like you're just very charismatic.
appreciate that, man. That's what I get a lot, man. Actually, just got that on Saturday. I remember one guy came up to me after the match and was like, "How do you move that fast for somebody that's 235 pounds?"
Yeah. Probably
Yeah,
basketball, that close, that quick speed and close proximity.
absolutely, man.
Yeah, that's that quick speed you only get in one way, and that's definitely playing basketball. You play, especially playing out in the streets.
Yeah,
That is you got to be quick, or you're gonna eat an elbow to the head.
absolutely.
So another thing that definitely stands out with your character and you as a person, you're very heavily tattooed.
Yeah,
When did you start getting ink, and how many are you up to now? You can't even probably keep track of how many you're at, right?
probably can't count, man. But I started at like 16 actually. And my mother, well, people found out later that I had a beard since I was like in 10th grade. So people thought I was older than what I was. So I was walking into, I won't say the tattoo place, and just getting, they was just like, wouldn't even card me because they just assumed I was older than what I was. I'm talking about full beard like this, 16, 17 years old. So it started around then, and then it just got addictive, dude.
And
I'm like,
your beard grows quick too. Like, I
yeah.
seen you shave it down, and then like 3 minutes later, it was already.
Thousands.
What was your first tattoo?
It was Chris going on my arm, my real name, and I remember sweating bullets because I had to call my mom because she was going to see it, and my mom is like really religious, so I was like, you're gonna be mad at me, but I got this tattoo, and she just like almost cried.
Right. Was she like, why did you get your name? In
Yeah,
case you forget, like.
yeah, yeah. She wasn't happy about it, but she seen like I just kept going. I'm like, oh, I got this arm done. Oh, should get this arm done. Got this done, so I got to get this side done. It was one of those things, man.
What's probably the one tattoo on you that means the most, or has the most representation, or the most meaning for you?
My daughter's name on my leg is probably the one that, yeah, obviously the one that means the most to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which area hurt the most?
Kneecaps.
The kneecaps?
Kneecaps.
Shit. Yeah, I want to get a leg sleeve, and I'm not looking forward to the knee part.
It's I mean, with the shin, obviously it's bones. You're going direct to bone, so it was like you heard that needle bouncing off that shin bone.
Yeah.
To me, I got the right knee done, and I'm right dominant, so I was bad, but not the worst. So then I went and got the left one done, and this isn't my dominant side, man. I was ready to cry in there, dude. It
Yo,
hurt.
I'm going numbing cream from here on out. I don't care. They can make fun of me all they want. I'm bringing my own jar. I'm putting it on. You know what I mean? I don't give a shit. I hate getting them. I love having them, but I hate getting them.
I take pride in the fact that not one tattoo I ever used numbing cream for.
Yeah, I don't give a shit. You can even I'll get the brand of the numbing cream tattooed on me. I don't give a shit.
I hear you. Trust me. They hurt. I tell people all the time, they hurt.
I heard the stomach sucks.
It's brutal. It's brutal.
Yeah.
Brutal. Yeah. I got that done probably like 10 years ago, and then I just added on to it. It wasn't fun. I'll tell you that. It's uncomfortable.
Do you have any more space left besides his face now, or
I got some like thigh room, but that's it.
do you have anything that you're thinking of that you want to get, or are you kind of just chilling at this point when it comes to
I,
tattoos?
I want this. It's two things that I want to get. I want Darth Maul's face from Star Wars, and you remember Mortal Kombat?
Yeah, yeah.
So you remember the character Cabal?
Cabal. What did he
He
look like?
he was like had the mask on, and like the storyline behind him was like he got like burnt up, and like he was real fast. Like he had to. I would have to show it to you after the
Did he
show,
have
but
like blades in his arms?
that's Baraka. I know who you're talking about.
Okay, okay. Yeah, I see. I suck at fighting games, so I never learned. Like I know like Raiden, Scorpio, Sub Zero, like Goro. Is that to do with like the
Yeah,
forearms? Yeah, I
yeah.
know the basic ones. I don't. But
Did you see the movie that came out a couple years ago?
mm-hmm.
So if in the movie, Cabal was in it, but he was the one that Liu Kang's dragon ate him in the
Oh,
movie.
okay.
Yeah, him. His mask. I love his mask. I was
Yeah.
thinking about like that on my thigh.
Okay, that's sick. Well, you said like outside of wrestling, you're a big movie guy. What are some of your favorite genres? Are like desert island movies? If you had to pick 3 movies that you've seen probably more than any other time.
The one I seen is one of my favorite movies is In Too Deep. It's like with LL Cool J, play like a big time drug dealer. But like
Yeah.
I love that movie. I'm gonna mess you up with this one. You wanna know what my favorite movie is?
What is it?
The Proposal with Ryan Reynolds and Sandra Bullock. I watched it probably 100 times. I,
Is that the one with what's her name? Betty White?
yeah, that one. That was the
With
one.
the window to the wall.
I watched that movie at least 100 times, dude. And third,
I have 2 chick flicks in my top movies.
yeah,
I'm a Breakfast Club, and I
okay,
like 10 Things I Hate About You.
okay. Oh, and another one is What Happens in Vegas with Ashton Kutcher and Cameron Diaz.
Okay.
Well, when I was a kid, I remember I had on VHS, man. This is like really taking it back. You remember the remake of Parent Trap with Lindsay Lohan?
Yeah, yeah.
I seen that movie about 1,000,000 times too.
I had a friend, my friend Tony, growing up. He watched The Lord of the Rings on repeat, like those 3 movies. Oh, I'm like, yo, you want to hang out? I was like, nah, I just started Lord of the Rings. I'm like, you just watched it yesterday. I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, just watched it all the time. I to this day, I can't mess with it. I'm like, I can't watch this anymore.
I can never get into the Lord of the Rings, man.
I can't either. Those
that
big fantasy worlds that you have to memorize everything and learn there's too much. There's too much going on.
yeah, I've had those conversations with people, and they're like, "You've never seen Lord of the Rings?" I'm like, "Nah, I never seen Lord of the Rings." You never seen Harry Potter? Nah, I never seen Harry Potter.
I only seen 2 Harry Potters.
Yeah,
Yeah. Now you said you're like Darth Maul. Like, are you a Star Wars guy?
no, there's
No.
my. I think that movie came out like in 2001, and my dad had took me and my brother to the movies, and I was like, "Wow!" Like first, I was scared of the character. Like I'm a kid.
Yeah.
As I got older, and I've always been the root for the bad guy.
Yeah.
And I was like, this dude looks amazing, man. And like I was like looking at certain people's artwork for like their Darth Maul tattoos, man. But I wasn't a big Star Wars fan at all.
Yeah. Now, where do you lie on the comic book side of thing? Are you a DC guy? Or are you a Marvel guy?
Well, movie wise, because I wasn't like
Well, that's not even fair. Marvel is doing better when it comes to movie. DC can't get their shit together.
Marvel fan like movie wise, but like I wasn't a big comic book guy.
Yeah. See, I grew up Batman before anything, and then I started falling in love with some Marvel characters. But everyone hates them. This generation just came out, but I thought this phase was one of my favorites. Like that new Black Panther and the new Doctor Strange, I thought were bangers. I thought they were the 2 best movies Marvel's done so far.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, man. I think the last movie I seen was Endgame. And what was that? A couple years ago Endgame came out, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I enjoyed that a lot, man. And I'm the only one in there rooting for Thanos. Ain't that something?
Yeah. Well, I'm hoping my favorite villain in the Marvel Universe comes soon. I'm a huge Fantastic Four. I love Fantastic Four, and I love Doctor Doom. Doctor Doom is that guy, and I hope they do him justice.
Did you see the picture of Wolverine in the yellow and blue suit? The movie
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
crazy, man, because that was the cartoons I was watching as a kid.
That guitar lick.
Oh, that's amazing, dude. Him. And I also, speaking of tattoos, I want to get an Omega Red tattoo because I loved Omega Red.
Yeah. You should get Beast. You can run Beast from the X-Men
I
with
remember
your
Beast.
beard. That's what you look like with the big beard.
Yeah, Beast was, yeah, absolutely.
And he's all super smart, like reading formulas upside down and shit. And he's like,
Yeah.
kill anybody in a blink of an eye. But he's just like, yeah, he's super docile. Like, you have to go to jail. He's like, all right, no problem. He just walks
Yeah,
into a jail cell. He can get out anytime he wants. He just chooses not to.
for real, man. X-Men was definitely a good movie, man. A few,
Yeah.
I liked all of them.
What have you seen recently movie wise that you would recommend for people?
Movie that what I would recommend. Well, I'm going to see that. Was it like Oppenheimer coming out that
Yeah.
couple of weeks? I want to see that. Movies that I would recommend, man. What's funny is that I binge watch stuff like on all of these streams, and for some reason, like the names just aren't coming to me right now.
Yeah. That's what here's my problem. I should make a post tonight. I always want to watch something new. And then I think to myself, I'm not in the mind frame to intake something new. And I keep rewatching the same shit over and over and over again. It's like a comfort food for my
Yeah.
stupid brain. Either that or I love documentaries. Like I am always watching a documentary about even stuff I'm not even interested in. Like, oh, the history of this. Click.
Yeah,
This things about I never did a psychedelic drug in my life, but I've watched a 18-hour documentary on LSD and mushrooms. Like, you know what I mean? Just like I watch all that shit.
it is so true because like I'll be at work and I'm going to come home. I'm going to watch a movie. I'm going to do this, and then I just go straight to Family Guy and then pass out.
Yeah.
But
Now you said you drive truck. Are you like the truck driver who you're gone for like a couple days, or do you just do local?
I got a route. I'm a bread truck guy. You've eaten the bread, Stroman bread, and
Yeah.
sell Enemans cakes too. So like I got all of that stuff on my truck, and I got a route that I do my list of stores that I hit. So that's but I'm home every day.
Okay, that's dope. Yeah, I didn't know if you were like on the road for a long period of time. Besides movies, what else are you into outside of professional wrestling?
Outside of professional, I mean, obviously, I'm a father. Uh, Being a dad's obviously important, man, and I enjoy spending time with my kids, man. And I would say this, man, I had like my first weekend to myself where I wasn't booked, and it was weird not knowing what to do on a Saturday. Like, I'm sitting there at the mall, and I'm like, oh, this is what people do on Saturdays, huh?
Yeah.
It was weird, man. But I enjoy spending time with my family, man.
I think one of the first times I ever sat and watched a football game in like 2 years was the one we watched during Camp Leapfrog. Where we're like, yo, football's on? Like, I haven't watched a live football game in a minute.
Dude, for real, man. And you know what's funny? Before I got into wrestling, for 20 years, I never missed not one Washington game.
Yeah.
And then that was big for me. Like when I would have shows on Sunday, I'm like, I'm going to miss Washington. And I still ain't used to it because but I'm checking the scores backstage the whole
Yeah,
time.
yeah. Who did we find out at Camp Leapfrog was also a Washington fan? I think Kai McKenna said she was a Washington fan.
I think she's from Maryland.
Yeah, and somebody else said they were a Washington fan. I believe that the day they won that game, they're like, did Washington win? We're like, what do you care? You're like, that's my team. I forget who it was though.
Logan is.
That's right, Logan. Yeah.
Logan's a Washington fan. We talk about this every time we see each other.
I love it. I love it. Love it. Love it. What are your daughters into professional wrestling? Do they watch it or do they consume it at all, or do they just don't care?
My daughter don't give a crap about it. So she's like obviously as workers we got to get to the show earlier for everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
hates that process. She hates, like, she wants to walk in and shows that were happening. So, when she comes with me, we gotta sit for 2 hours, and like that part, like she doesn't like it. And then if I lose, she doesn't like that
Oh
either.
yeah. Has she made friends with any of the people backstage at least? Like she looks.
Yeah, everybody speaks to her, man. They know that's my child.
Who's some of her favorites?
Me, she liked Gabby Ortiz.
Okay.
Yeah, she liked Gabby Ortiz. She liked even though I was going against him, she liked Danny Moff.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember that one, man. I got footage of them two going back and forth during our match. It was hilarious.
You know who's one of the people backstage that for some reason every time someone brings their kid, that their kid and this person always start like just because he's a giant kid himself. Tommy Vex for some reason is every kid's favorite backstage. Like like everyone's kid falls in love with Tommy.
You ain't never lie, man.
Mm-hmm.
What's what's the one kid that come dressed up in all the
Gavin.
Gavin. Yeah, man, I haven't seen him in a while. Last time I seen him was either High Tension. I think no, it was either High Tension or Outbreak.
I just seen him the other day. He came to a Sanctuary show. It was the first time I seen him in probably months.
Yeah, super cool kid, man.
Yeah. That kid has hard in his short span of going to wrestling shows has had more experiences with people that I would have like people would die for. Like
absolutely. Yeah,
like he's known as the kid that comes dressed up. Like him and Jay Lethal was one of my favorite things I've ever seen. He came out at a show and he was dressed as the Undertaker. And Gavin has no fear. Like since the second I ever met that kid, you could put him in the ring, give him a microphone, he'll cut a promo. He doesn't care if there's 1,000 people there. He has like zero fear. He has so much confidence in himself. Jay Lethal comes around the corner and he's the Undertaker, and Jay Lethal does like this, and then Gavin just stands up, rolls his eyes in the back of his head, and just goes. And I was just like, "This is amazing."
Yeah, such him and his dad, so cool, man.
Yeah, that's that people like that are like when you get in this business and you meet people like that, or those fans that travel all over the place, and the people who just really support and buy your merch or just support you. That's what makes this all worth your time away from your friends and your family and your kids. You know what I mean? When you feel that love. Getting to the end here, let me just read some questions off. What is your favorite Haas fight in the sport of professional wrestling, mainstream or independent? You're the Haas. You know what I mean? King Haas there. That's from Hunter. That's from Hunter Dillon.
I gotta go. What pay-per-view was that earlier this year with Sheamus and Gunther?
Is that SummerSlam?
No, SummerSlam was just
Clash of the Castle.
Clash of the Castle. I was like, geez, my chest was hurting watching that match. But I'm a big Gunther fan. Sheamus is cool, but I'm a huge Gunther fan. And that match was just, I was like, man, they're going to need like Epsom salt or something after this match, man. But that was one of my favorite matches.
That's a good pick. I always look at Dijak versus Keith Lee in NXT when they were doing like 450s and shit. Like you're not supposed to do that as two big guys.
Yeah,
that's another great big man fight. Steven Chambers from the Discord says, any opponents you would love to wrestle against are and what got you into pro wrestling?
What got me into pro wrestling, I would say, they said trying to do something outside of the box. For once, I was used to just working 9-to-5 jobs and didn't think of doing anything. And I wanted to also stay in shape. So that's what got me into it. Like I said, matches that I would love to do. Obviously, we talked about earlier, O'Shea Edwards, Calvin Tankman is two. Oh, and Jacob Fatu for some reason. I would love Jacob Fatu.
If there was somebody on TV that you can work, AEW, WWE, who are NWA or Impact, even like who's somebody on the mainstream that you would love to square up against?
For the mainstream, Impact, Steve Macklin.
Okay.
I'm a big fan of Steve Macklin. From the Impact side, AEW, of course, Powerhouse Hobbs.
That'd be a good one. Dude, I'm so confused of that booking of him and Miro because like that's gonna show you who the company's looking for in the future. and Miro has not been showcased at all, and now Powerhouse is on a rise. So like, who takes the fall there? Like that's concerning. I like both of them a lot. What's that?
Have you been watching Collision?
I think Collision's really good.
I'm a huge fan of Collision.
Yeah.
And I can watch it because like Saturday nights I can watch it, but like it's hard for me to watch Dynamite because of my work schedule. But I've been loving everything I'm seeing from Collision.
It's a fun show. Punk's doing a good job. Punk and Daniel Bryan, they said they're the ones booking it and putting that together.
Punk and FTR is my favorite tag team of all time. So let's put that out there. So yeah, it's watching them is great.
Yeah. You've had some tag team action in the past. Do you prefer tag team or singles? And when you are tag team, who are some people you like to tag team with?
I like singles over everything.
Yeah.
Singles over everything. I mean, I'll do the multi-man matches and things like that. But for me, like I like one-on-ones because you want to get to different promotions and things like that. You can't send them a tag match or send them a four-way. You want to send them a one-on-one. So for footage purposes and then I just think it's cooler. More attention is just on the two people in the ring.
Yeah.
But tag wise, Jet was my favorite.
I loved I reached out to him for a podcast, but he said not at this point in time. But that's somebody I'd love to chat with. He is one of the funnest human beings of all time. Yeah. Absolutely. If you can form your own stable, like you have your own, who would be in your stable? Who would you want to travel? Like, because obviously, like the Goons, they all travel together in the car. They're with each other. Who would be your stable mates that you would love to be in a car, work with all the time, and just go to places with?
Stable, Deshaun Pratt will be one of them. Darius Carter.
Oh my goodness, the stable's amazing already.
Carter. And do you know who Infinite Tim is?
I'm not familiar with him.
Infinite Tim. Those four right there, man. I'm like the biggest Darius Carter fan.
Same. I reached out to him for this show too, and I have not gotten a response, but I'm a giant mark for Darius. He's from just working him at Leapfrog. What a professional. Just so good.
Suited up, 3-piece suit.
100 degrees, doesn't even care.
I was just about to say 95-degree weather.
Yeah.
Darius. I see Darius. I call Darius. I say, you're the Independence Randy Orton, right?
Yeah.
Dude, he is just ridiculous, man. Like
so good.
He's wrestling guys in AEW, former WWE guys, man, and it's like you wouldn't know which one came from these big organizations the way he works. So
there was a documentary I watched where I believe Vice, and they went to Beyond, and they were I think it was Beyond, and they were like filming Beyond, and at the time it was Ethan Page and Darby were doing an angle there. I think Keith Lee, right before he went to NXT, was there, and it was like the who's who of Beyond Wrestling at the time. And backstage was Darius. Like Darius was backstage with all those people, and he I seen him in the background, and I was just like, oh, he was there. And I was like, that's makes so much sense, because just the way he conducts himself, like he's already been on the top. You know what I mean? Like he's a cool human. But that would be one of those interviews I want to get to know him as a person and not the character, and that would probably be the challenging part. Yeah.
Yeah, he's going to MJF you.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, because he's such a having a conversation with him back, or without a crowd around, he is just he's a good human being too. Yeah. Like he's so giving. He's open to hearing ideas. I was saying the last podcast, when one of the first filmings I got to do with Camp Leapfrog was Frog Sport. And I remember they were all like talking about amongst it, and they were like, well, how can I do something heelish every match and it be like in the context of what we're trying to do is this shoot MMA thing. And he was talking about like an eye gouge or a low blow. And I was like, honestly, like I'm a big MMA fan, but anytime you have a submission on, if you're ending each match with a submission, don't let go, because it's almost deemed as more of a scumbag thing if you have someone to the point where they're tapping and you're not letting go, you're trying to hurt them. That's like in that space, it's like the worst thing you can do. And he was just like, I like that. And he kept it and he used it the whole show. And I was just like, but that's a guy who's like killing the game. And he's still willing to hear some guy he's never met before that was standing on a ladder doing hard cam. And he was taking like, you know what I mean? Like he was just a good human. I like him a lot.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Dude.
I have one last question here and then we'll just get your plugs and get you out of here. But logos by Hunter, someone's been helping me out a lot. He's been helping me with color schemes of previous logos, bringing old logos back to life, as well as creating new ones for me. So a lot of my new logos that are out, if you see logos by Hunter, has been the lifeblood to that. He's amazing. If you need logos done, if you like the logo spoofs you've been seeing that I have, hit him up. His prices are insanely affordable, and he'll work with you. Turnaround time's amazing. He's been helping a lot of people on the independent scene. Lifelong wrestling fan. So anything, if you guys are looking for anything, make sure you hit him up. But his question he likes to ask everybody: if you could write a letter to a younger Devantes, what would that letter say?
I would want to say start earlier, but I think me coming into this business older made me more mature, and I think that I would have been more able to make. I would have made more mistakes being younger coming into this game. Coming in at 28, I appreciate everything that wrestling gives me. I mean, I've been on cars with people that are a little upset, like, hey, you know, I came up with this guy. He's in the WWE. Why am I still in the independent scene? For me, it's all about appreciating the journey, and I think the fact that I'm older and I can realize that is a blessing. So I can't really say that it's any advice that I would give younger Devantes, because I think younger Devantes would have made plenty of mistakes.
Yeah. I love that. That's a good thing. Where can people find you on social media? Where can people support you? And what are some promotions that they can seek out and go watch your footage and go see some of your stuff?
So this weekend I'm at 1CW in Delaware. It's my debut at 1CW, Milford, Delaware, I think it is. Then Devantes PW on Twitter, Devantes.pro on Instagram. I'm more so on Instagram than I am Twitter.
Okay.
So, you know, if anybody wants to DM me or anything like that, go to Instagram.
Do you have like a YouTube channel where you upload your footage?
Yeah, I have one. I've got a few of my matches on it. I know like some promoters are like iffy about you.
You just always message me like, yo, can I get my footage?
Yeah. Yeah, but I would go when you just type my name in.
Yeah. Awesome, man. I appreciate you so much. I wish nothing but the best for you, man. You're one of my favorite people that I got to meet in this business. I met a lot of cool people, man, and you're definitely high on that list of people. I always look forward to seeing you. Keep doing your thing, brother. And we got to run this back in the future. Maybe when our team wins the Super Bowl, we'll come back and we'll chop it up. Yeah. See you in another 10 years. Yeah, we'll be on our 13th name change. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in once again for an episode of the ABJ Podcast. We'll be back next week with another episode. You're going to like this one, Devantes. I'm going to be interviewing the president of independent wrestling. Do you know who that is?
The president of independent wrestling. Who is that?
It's one and only Phil Stanford, baby. Look at the presidential seal there. That means it's official. He's going to be on next week. You want to talk about someone who's been around for a long time and has worked with the who's who and just always giving back to the business anyway. It's going to be that dude, Phil. And then we're going to be ending the month with another guy. You're going to love this one, Devantes. Big Dust.
Big Dust.
Big Dust. That's how we're ending the month. And the next couple of weeks, man. Thank you guys so much. Keep tuning in the ABJ Podcast. Grab some merchandise. If you grab any merchandise, please send me a photo of you in the merchandise so we can put it on social media. Also, if you're listening to this on any podcast platform in your car or anything, make sure you leave a 5-star review. Like, share, subscribe on if you're watching the videos, and anything word of mouth just keeps this podcast going alive and keep growing. If you know anyone that wants to be a guest or if you think would be a good guest in the podcast, have them hit up the link tree as well and fill out a form, or just contact me, shoot the DM, and we'll get you on as soon as we possibly can. That's going to do it for the ABJ Podcast. We'll see you guys next time. Here's some music by the Converse Kid. We're out of here.